because I have a simple question for you. Sunday morning or late Saturday night, tell me the truth. I bet you were crapping your pants. I bet you were. I bet you were crapping your pants saying, here we go. The Red Sox are going to choke. They're going to miss the playoffs. I know it. And I'll be honest with you. I was a little worried, and I know you. I know you. I bet you were about to crap your pants. Jared Carrabis, presented by Blue Moon Light, a light and refreshing citrus wheat beer with only 95 calories, brewed with real tangerine peel for a subtle sweetness and a smooth finish, just like
Jared Carrabis.
There you go. Enjoy Blue Moonlight today. Jared joins us remotely. He is connected via Zoom. I can't actually see Jared at the moment, but I can certainly hear him. And here's what I want to know, Jared. Were you worried at one point over the weekend? Were you? Were you worried Saturday night? Were you worried into Sunday? Were you worried before last night? Tell me the truth.
I will tell you the truth, Tony. After Saturday, I was agitated. I was annoyed. And I think, talking to some of the other people that cover the team that actually care, because obviously some of the beat writers, they don't care. They come up and they eat their media dining and then they go about their business and they just cover the team. They don't care if they win or lose. But talking to the people that care if they win or lose, some of them felt a certain way about this team, like maybe things were spiraling. And I don't know if it's because of the position that I have on my podcast where I feel like I have to lead from the front, Tony. I did not outwardly panic. I didn't feel great. Like I'll concede that. I didn't feel great.
Okay,
but
go ahead.
I think going. other people being negative made me feel like I have to be the guy that says, you know what, let's not panic here and let's snap out of it. Let me smack these people across the face and say, let's snap out of it.
Okay, so Jared, those are two different things, right? Those are two different things. One is I say a political reason or a social reason. It's related to people. I'm talking about the baseball part of it. And just so people have a full understanding here, and I know they do, but with all the, hype from the Patriots win yesterday, and I think people lost sight a little bit of what's been going on. So let me just refresh people a little bit, or give people a refresher on where things stand. First of all, the Toronto Blue Jays right now lead the American League East by 4 games over the New York Yankees. Okay, the Yankees are in second place. Toronto looks like they've put a more secure grip on the division. They've won 4 in a row. To catch Toronto now with 12 games to go is going to be difficult. And that's what the Red Sox have left. 12 games to play. And the Red Sox, by the way, are 6 out with 12 to play for the division. So if you're asking me, mathematically speaking, the division is gone. The chances of Red Sox winning the division is almost 0. The concern you should have is that the Red Sox chances of making the playoffs at all are now dwindling. And here is why. And Jared, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm going to give people the math. The Yankees right now are in the number 1 wild card spot. They have a 1.5 game lead over the Red Sox, but it's 2 in the loss column. The Red Sox hold a 1-game lead over the Astros for the final wild card spot. They are 3 ahead in the loss column over Texas. But Texas and Houston play each other these next 3 nights, meaning either Texas or Houston is going to get 2 more losses in the next 3 days. At least 2 more. One of them could get 3 if there's a sweep. And you really only have to compete with one of them for that final playoff spot, unless Cleveland enters the equation. This gets a little convoluted, but at the end of the day, here's the point. The Red Sox had a 6-game lead in the wild card race not so long ago, about a week ago. That number is now down to 3. So, Jared, they won last night. It stemmed the tide. And I think we all understood the importance of that. But when you look back at it, wasn't last night really a must-win given the fact that Garrett Crochet was on the mound?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like because I think when you're asking me about like the point of panic and was there any on my behalf, if they had lost last night, yeah, I'm probably pretty freaked out about the situation, because I think when Cora has that quote, I know Big Jim Murray was talking about the quote from Cora over the weekend. I used the word sobering. It was a very sobering quote to hear that from Alex Cora, where he kind of just straight up said, "Hey, let's pump the brakes on talking about October. We got to get there first." And that was kind of the first time that I've heard it from him, from anyone over there, where the idea of not making the postseason was even a thought that was on the table. Because for me, it wasn't. Like I'm over here making plans for the playoffs. Like we obviously have to make our content plans. So we're booking events, we're scheduling flights, we're doing all this stuff to plan around the postseason. And then hearing Cora say that over the weekend, I was like, wait a second. Like, I don't like that there's maybe, like, I think fans panicking is normal. Like they panic in May, over whether or not they're going to make the playoffs. It was the first time that the call came from inside the house, Tony, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So, Jared, I'll tell you what, let's do a couple of things. Let's actually play the audio you're talking about, because and then I have a question for you as it relates to Cora's comment. Here's what Cora said, and let me emphasize this part of it. The Red Sox lost the opener in the series to the Yankees on Friday night. Saturday pregame, before the Yankees beat the Red Sox again, Cora does his usual media briefing. He does one before the game, one after. Most of you already know that. But here is what he said before the game on Saturday, which, again, was before the second defeat.
How much is lineups against lefties kind of a priority to figure out before October?
I think we should stop talking October, to be honest with you. There's a lot of stuff going on, and we have to play better. I'm not saying we're in a bad spot, but I think, we have to wait, to see if October is part of this.
Okay, so, Jared, that is a very sort of pessimistic kind of comment, as if to say, hey, let's pump the brakes. There's a lot going on. Do you blame Cora for saying it?
No, because I think, if they don't make the playoffs at this point, people will be calling for his job. So it's almost like he has to plant the seeds. Like, I didn't tell you we were going there. Like, obviously that's the goal, and that's what we're working towards. But I think in the past, and you could probably cite a few examples, Tony. Like, before like the Astros thing, right? When Cora was managing the Red Sox before the scandal broke, he had some like cocky comments, like he would like say some cocky stuff, and he was backing it up though. I mean, obviously you're the manager of the winningest team in franchise history, and they were really good that year. But I think since that incident, he's dialed that back exponentially. So I think this is him just trying to be humble. Like the game has humbled him. So I think he has kind of looked at the situation and said, like, wait a second, like I'm not going to sit up here and tell you we're going to October. I'm not going to make that guarantee, that promise to this fan base that has been waiting for half a decade for us to get back there. We got to get there first. Like this is not Mookie Betts, Chris Sale, JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts. It's not these guys. Like it's a completely different group, and they're nothing like that group. So let's get there first before we start talking October.
Okay, so look, I don't blame him for bringing it up at all. In fact, I think it's a way to sort of wake up your team, because he doesn't like something that's going on with his team. And remember, Jared, last week he got into the dugout during that series with Oakland. I say got into the dugout. He's always in the dugout, but he moved down the dugout after I think it was the first loss in Oakland, where they had kind of an ugly loss. And I say, I'm sorry, it was in Sacramento, but you know what I mean.
They won the first two.
So it was after the last loss. Oh, it was in Arizona. It was in Arizona
Okay.
after the, I'm sorry, Jared. It was after this, I think the Saturday defeat in Arizona, where they played kind of sloppy. Trevor Story made an error. There was a fly ball between the two outfielders. The next day, Cora went to the middle of the dugout in Arizona, started yucking it up with the players. They all started laughing a little bit. And Lou Merlone made a comment on the broadcast about how the Cora was definitely trying to lighten the team up. Maybe he felt they were getting a little tight after playing a sloppy game in the middle game of the series in Arizona. Here is, again, there's something he said in the middle of that comment on Saturday. about we got to forget about October, pump the brakes because there's a lot going on right now. So, Kevin, just play that part again.
To be honest with you, there's a lot of stuff going on, and we have to play better.
Okay. What do you think he means by a lot of stuff going on? Do you think he just means that some teams are hot, they're making runs, and we're playing poorly, or is there something going on internally?
No, I think he's talking about Roman Anthony. We don't know when he's coming back, if he's coming back. Wilyer Abreu, we thought we'd have him back by now. He's not back yet. That's what I think he's talking about is, listen, we're a good team when we're running at full capacity, but we're not right now, and we don't know when we're going to be able to do that again. I would love to be able to sit here and tell you, Roman Anthony will be back in a week, and Wilyer Abreu will be back on this date. Like at the time that he said that, he couldn't tell you any of that information.
Okay, so you know what? I'll tell you this. I think Alex Cora is worried. That's what I think. The question is, for those of you out there, are you worried? And let me tell you this. Jared reminded me today of a discussion he and I had last week. When we discussed this very topic, we're going to refresh everybody's memory when we come back on exactly what we said when we come back on the Baseball Hour.
cut down after the base hit by Sogard.
He's trying to do too much, right? Trying to get into the moment. Poppy, you're talking about how big these games are. This is right in front of you. Probably just over-aggressive when it comes to Eaton. But again, I look down this lineup. I see Bregman, I see Story. You talk about meaningful playoff games. It's the only kind of veterans I see here. So it's important for these guys like Nate Eaton, maybe a little bit too aggressive in the moment here, right?
That was on Saturday after Alex Cora said, let's pump the brakes on the playoffs. And just for those of you, again, because weekends are busy now. College football on Saturday, for those of you who like that. Not that it's all that popular in this area. Patriots on Sunday. Red Sox fell behind on Saturday, 2-0 in the first inning. In the third, Eaton walked to lead off the inning. Bloop single into left field by Nick Sogard. Eaton tries to go to third and gets thrown out for the first out of the inning, down 2 runs in the third inning against Max Fried, who you don't want to give away outs against. One of the more colossally stupid plays by the Red Sox this season. The Red Sox end up, Connor Wong doubles the next batter, and then Fried gets out, the next 2 batters, and the Red Sox don't score in the inning. Bottom line is the Red Sox sent 3 consecutive men to the plate. They all got on base. The third one hit a double, and they didn't score. Okay, they didn't score. They end up losing the game 5-3. And there's a lot to get into from the weekend. I see a number you lined up, and we will discuss it. But they're slipping in the race. They made some stupid mistakes over the weekend. 2 of their best pitchers lost on Friday and Saturday, which should not be overlooked, to put a tremendous amount of crochet on Friday night. Last night. Boy, I'm all over the place today. The Carrabis and I had this discussion. Again, Jared's joining us tonight, for those of you who are unaware. He has a scheduling change, so he's doing Monday this week instead of Wednesday. Last week, Carrabis and I were talking about where the Red Sox stood in the playoff race. I, for one, thought it was over, and I will fully admit that. Here's the exchange. Jared, let me ask you, because I wonder how a lot of fans are approaching this now. You got 16 games to go. You're going to be into the playoffs. Can we agree on that they're not going to blow this?
97.3% chance of making the playoffs.
Is that what it is now, according to Fangraphs or whoever?
Yeah, 97.3%.
Okay, so it looks like they're going to be in. Okay, so I was even saying it more definitive than 97.3%. They're in. I thought their front 3 guys were too good, meaning Crochet, Bayo, and Giolito. 2 of them lost over the weekend. And Jared, I think what I said to you point blank was, with that lead and the top 3 pitchers that they have, they're too good to go in any type of skid here that's going to bump them out of the playoffs. I now take that back. Do you feel the same way?
No, I think that series is more of an aberration. I still look at it's hard to break it down, because I want to say I look at the season series and it's like, well, you can sit here and say that the Red Sox are comfortably better than the Yankees, but it's like, well, they had Roman Anthony. Without Roman Anthony, they are a completely different team. The lineup is different, the feel, the vibe, everything is different without Roman Anthony. So I just want to know, can the Red Sox survive September? Can they get to a point where they get Roman back? Because if they don't, then the team doesn't seem like it's destined for any type of success come October, or get to October period, without Roman. So it's like, are we talking about the 4 weeks? Are we talking about 6 weeks? Are we talking about 8 weeks? I don't know.
Well, look, the thing is, if you ask me, they shouldn't be this vulnerable with the talent they have. And I know they haven't been hitting, but they shouldn't be so vulnerable without Roman Anthony. They get absolutely punctured in his absence. And I would tell you, Jared, I want to go back and look at the numbers here in a moment, but to me, it feels like they have sort of come apart a little bit since Anthony went down, and done the bare minimum to still stay afloat. Brendan is in Walpole. He's up first tonight. Brendan, what do you got?
Hey, Tony. Hey, Jared. Yeah, Maz, I'm really worried about the state of the team. This series this weekend scared me. These next 4 series are must-win, because I got the bad feeling that they might blow it. Thank you.
Okay, so look, it is starting to feel that way. It has that vibe to it. And I don't know. Look, I'm not going to tell you that they're going to completely fall apart. All I can tell you is that they feel like they're starting to come apart. And I'm trying to, Jared, I'm trying to get exact numbers here on what they have done from a day-to-day standpoint here since Roman Anthony went down.
They're 4-6. They're averaging less than 4 runs per game without Roman Anthony.
Okay, and it feels worse than that, doesn't it? I mean, I know they get 6. Yeah, they get 6 in the first inning last night, so it feels worse. Jeff is in Rhode Island. Jeff, what do you got?
Yo, what's going on, guys? Loving the show this week and last week, too. About the state of the team right now, safe to say I was there Friday night. The second I got to Fenway, and between now is night and day about how I feel about the team. But I want to talk about David Hamilton. Why is he still on the team? I mean, 2 things. One, we don't really need a runner or a guy with speed right now. Outside Nathaniel Lowe, most of these guys, I'm pretty comfortable with them on base. But the second thing, too, is why they put him in there instead of Romy Gonzalez while he's the hottest hitter in baseball is beyond me. I know there was probably a mix-up with the pitching matchup, but other than that, guy's useless as a batter. Thanks for the call, guys.
Okay, so Jared, is this really about one particular player? Or is it about the fact that they are a little undermanned a moment and they don't have a lot else to turn to?
No, it is that they're undermanned, but I think even on Saturday I was at the game and I looked at the lineup and I said, I understand Max Fried is on the mound. I understand it's a lefty, but this has got to be one of the worst lineups that the Red Sox have rolled out there during a season where they had a winning record. You know, like if they went all righties, it's the first time in a long time that they've done that. But just the quality of the hitters, it was almost like I said it last night on the podcast. It felt like the lineup that they rolled out in the middle game it was 7-8-9, 7-8-9, 7-8-9. Like where are the boppers? Like, you know, like Story was in there and Bregman was in there, but Bregman's been scuffling over the last 2-3 weeks here. Story's been pretty good, yes, but like outside of that, it was just a lot. And to their credit, that was the night that they had whatever it was, like 10 hits. They just couldn't score any runs, and they had to get Duran off the bench to pinch hit because he didn't start the game being a lefty. He ended up hitting a home run, and that's when you thought you had a chance. But yeah, it's crazy to me that the team can look and feel and play entirely differently just without one guy. And I know you said earlier, Tony, that it's like it's unfair to put this on Roman Anthony and that one guy shouldn't pull the plug on the whole season or the lineup or the offense. But I mean, I go back to what did the team look like? How were they playing before Roman Anthony got here? Like they didn't take off until he got here, which is kind of what I was saying from opening day. I said, you know, how do we feel about the team? I don't know. I'll tell you when Roman Anthony gets here. And when he got there, they were one of the best teams in the American League. They were one of the best teams in baseball. Now he's not here. So it's like, can they survive September? I don't know. Let me know when Roman Anthony's coming back.
So, Jared, the only thing I would add is that then there's a psychological element to it, though. And that's what I mean, Jared, that I understand what Anthony gives to the lineup, but I would also tell you that doesn't mean all the other guys suck when he leaves. And it's not a true team sport from the standpoint of if you lose your left tackle in football, he can't block for the quarterback, and now there's pressure on the quarterback, and he doesn't have the same time to throw, and you got to mitigate that. And in baseball, you take one bat out of the lineup, there is a ripple effect, but it's more often than not, it is psychological in some capacity. So the lineup you're talking about, by the way, on Saturday, just to give people the lineup you're talking about, Gonzalez, Bregman, Story, Ref Snyder was the cleanup hitter. Narvaez, Nate Eaton was hitting 6th. Sogard was hitting 7th. Wong and Rafaela 8-9. So once you get past really, I mean, I'd say the 3 spot. Ref Snyder's not a 4 hitter. Narvaez isn't a 5 hitter. And I know he's hit 4th a good chunk of the year. And I know what some of the numbers are for these guys against left-handed pitching, but I totally see your point as it pertains to the kind of lineup that they were looking at. And look, Max Fried isn't your run-of-the-mill lefty. Max Fried can get out anybody from either side. So in some ways, you'd look at that and say, just put your best hitters out there. I understand what the caller's getting at. Put your best hitters out there, independent of left-right, because Max Fried's going to get everybody anyway. Anthony in Scottsdale. Anthony, what do you got?
Hey, guys. Jared, love the podcast, man. But other than that, you know, I'm really concerned right now because I kind of look back at the Athletic series and, you know, they scored 5-6 runs in the first inning, and then they don't score anything after that. And the same goes for yesterday. So I just think, they are, in the deep end as far as this offense goes, and I don't think it's going to serve them well down the stretch without Roman Anthony. That's all I got.
Anthony,
yeah, I think it's just it's trying to just tread water, like I went from they're within striking distance of the division, and we were talking about do you go for it? Do you try and win the division? Do you want the time off, or do you want to have the wild card here and not have the days to rest or whatever? Now it's just survive. And I do believe they can survive, just kind of based on some of the points that you laid out earlier. When you've got teams playing each other, I think that they will still be able to fight off and hold on and get in. Whether or not you're going to be playing at home, I don't believe so at this point. I think we're looking at a road wild card series, but it would be devastating, Tony, if at this point, after all this, because even entering today, you want to talk about percentages, it's still 90% to make the playoffs, but it is steadily declining. It was 97 the last time that we talked.
Yeah, and at this time of year, as we know, Jared, look, people my age and yours, for that matter, we've lived through this before. The younger people, you have no clue. You have no clue. Put your diapers on. It's going to be a little dicey in the next 2 weeks. So here's what we're going to do. Kevin Majori will get you caught up on headlines. Don't go anywhere. Ryan Garvin's doing headlines. Okay, sorry. Ryan, my apologies. Ryan will get you caught up on headlines when we come back. I'll tell you what was a big problem against the Yankees over the weekend, and we'll give you some numbers from this 10-game period without Roman Anthony that will give you even more cause for alarm if you didn't have some already. Don't go anywhere on the Baseball Hour.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Yes, much to the disappointment of Tony Maz and thousands of listeners, I am doing headlines tonight. And I'm going to tell you about the Patriots. They got their first win of the season after beating the Miami Dolphins 33-27 yesterday. It was the first win for Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel. It was their first win.
way to pass Jolton Joe on the all-time Yankee home run list, number 362.
I was in the first inning on Friday night, and there's a reason I'd play this. So, Jared, I don't know if you feel the same way, but you got Giolito pitching on Friday. Bayo goes Saturday, and you're down in the first inning both times before your before your lineup even gets a crack at the opposing pitcher. Judge homers in the first inning against Giolito. The Yankees get 2 runs against Bayo on Saturday. Like, to me, this is one of those things that sort of punches you in the stomach before you even get into the batter's box. And it's just a bad way to begin. And we've done the numbers before that the team that scores first in baseball wins like 70% of the time. And I know there are 8.5 innings to go, and I'm just giving you what the numbers are. I'm not telling you that the game was over, but the fact of the matter is that the game ended up really being over. You never caught up, and that was it. So I think there is something to getting out ahead and getting a lead in these games. And when it happens with those guys on the mound, it's a bad sign. The other thing, Jared, and tell me how pessimistic I should be about this. You pointed out that since Roman Anthony went down, the Red Sox are 4-6, which they are. 2 of the wins are with Crochet. So that means you're 2-6 with everyone other than Crochet. 2 of the overall wins are against Arizona. Crochet's wins are against the Athletics and the Yankees. You still have a series at Tampa. You still have a series at Toronto. Now, again, the Jays might have the division basically sewn up by then. And then Detroit presumably will have nothing to play for on the final weekend of the series. But is the schedule friendly enough, Jared, where they should be able to win the majority of their games? They have 12 left. If they go 7-5, that should be enough in all probability to get them in. I'm just spitballing here, but can they go 7-5 the rest of the way? Is that realistic?
I think so. I mean, I think when we look at the starters that went this past weekend, what you were trying to say earlier, yeah, like it's completely valid to be like, okay, the Red Sox had their top 3 dogs lined up against the Yankees and they lost a series. Like, that should set off some alarms. It does, and it should. But as far as what you were saying earlier about Roman Anthony, one guy being taken out of the equation shouldn't be the reason why the entire team crumbles. Well, I mean, when any team that loses their best player is not going to be as good. I think getting Wilyer Abreu back will certainly help. But even for that lineup on Saturday that I was, complaining about, they still had 10 hits. It's just they can't get the big hit. That's the problem. I look at guys like Bregman, I look at guys like Duran, and I look at guys like Story. They need to step up. They need to step up because, when you look at some of the other names that are going to be getting meaningful at bats down the stretch here, guys like Romy Gonzalez, yeah, sure, plug him in against the lefty, and he's going to be, and he can hit righties too, but plug him in against a lefty and he'll do his job. Rob Refsnyder, like, is he an everyday player? No, but if they see a lefty, he can do his job. I think that they have enough to scratch and claw and get by to the point where we're not going to be talking about some collapse or missing the postseason. I don't think it's going to look pretty. I think it's going to look like they had to empty the tank and do everything they possibly could to get in. But at the end of the day, I do still think that they'll get in. And a big part of that is I believe in Giolito, Bayo, Crochet, and at the back end, Whitlock and Chapman. If you're able to pitch well enough, which they've proven for the entire season that it's not a fluke. Like they can do this. Really, you just need those 3 guys that I mentioned before, Bregman, Story, Duran. They need to step up. There needs to be the guy that gets the big swing. And if they're able to do that, they may not need to score 7 runs every single night to beat some of these teams.
I was just looking at the schedule quickly, and then we'll get back to the calls because we got a bunch of people lined up, Jared. But with 12 games to go, obviously none of those 3 guys will pitch in the next 2 days or next 2 games. Mm-hmm. So you then have 10 to go. I think, depending on how hard they want to push these guys, they can get 6 or 7 starts out of those 3 guys. 6 or 7 of those will come with Giolito, Bayo, or Crochet on the mound for the final 10 games. And I'm starting to think that they're going to have to win those every one of those starts in order to avoid a collapse. That's what I'm starting to feel. George is in Malden. George, what do you got?
Tony, we lost 18 one-run games this season. If we won half those games, we'd be in first place right now.
So, George, look, it's a fair point. It's an easy thing to look back at. But Jared, what is their I'm trying to punch up their overall record now in one-run games because I think they got it close to 500. They sort of fought their way back to the middle of that. It's 20-25. So George is right; they're still underwater there. But is that a reasonable way to look at it at those games in particular, or do you not look at it that way?
You can't look at it that way. I think if you say like if they won a third of them, like it's not not every team is putting up these, 10 games above 500 in one-run game. Like one-run games they're tough to win. The Red Sox obviously did not do a great job this year in one-run games. But you can't look at it as if they had won half of them. It's like, all right, well, if they had won one-third of them, they'd be hosting the wild card game or something like that. You can't just assume those wins, but. Yeah,
so look, the old rule of thumb is 500. One-run games are going to be 500. That's the general, the analysts will tell you that the one-run games come out as 50-50, and those aren't the ones that decide the year. The Red Sox right now are 20-25. So if, 2 or 3 of those go the other way, I mean, we're not even having this discussion to the caller's point. I'm with you. You can't assume that they win them all. But they've been, a much, much better in one-run games since then. At one point, they were like 6-19. So they made up a lot of it. They played a lot better, and they made up a lot of it. But if overall they had finished somewhere, 2 or 3 games better than where they are, it would have made a difference. It's one way to look at it. I think there are a lot of ways to look at it. You could look at it earlier and say if Roman Anthony were here earlier, maybe the whole season would be different and they never would have had to make the Devers trade. Who the hell knows? Liam is in Georgetown. Liam, what do you got?
You touched on my point, the schedule. We've got the Athletics coming up. We've got the Rays. All right, they're not the greatest teams in the world, but we can lose to worse teams than us. And then we finish with the Blue Jays and the Tigers. And that's kind of tough when the Yankees play the Twins, the White Sox, and the Orioles. I'm kind of worried. I'm 59. I've seen this happen before. We got to...
So, Liam, let me jump in and just say this. Don't worry about the Yankees. The Yankees have nothing to do with you anymore. I mean, I say that with all the love in my heart. If you want the top wildcard spots, fine. I'm talking about just getting in at this point, Jared. Forget the top spot, and I know you touched on that in the last segment. But what the Yankees' schedule has no bearing on this. Does it affect your thinking at all?
I'm worried about the teams that the Red Sox are playing. You have to look at what the Yankees are doing. Like, I'm going to look at their schedule and their strength of schedule, and I'll be scoreboard watching and all that. But as far as getting in, which is where I've had to adjust to, it went from can they win the division, can they host the wild card game, to now I'm at like, can they just get in? I can't be thinking about the Yankees right now. I'm looking at who the Red Sox are playing, and tomorrow that is the A's. Yeah, just win your games. That's what Cora's thinking about. I mean, so I understand the caller's point. The Yankees have a softer schedule. Right now, you're not competing with the Yankees anymore. You're competing with one of those two teams, Texas and Houston. One of them is going to be a wild card team or in contention for it. And there's a very real possibility they could bump you out. That's what you should be worried about. The Yankees are ahead of you, and Seattle is going to end up ahead of you in all probability. The Mariners have been playing well. If a third team ends up in front of you, you're out. That's what you got to worry about. Forget about the freaking Yankees. John's in Pennsylvania. John, what do you got?
Hi, Tony, Jared. Thanks for the call. Been hearing a lot about Roman Anthony tonight, and rightfully so, losing your best player. Not exactly ideal, but just curious if there's any update on a Wilyer Abreu sighting. Is he going to be back in the lineup anytime soon? And what can we realistically expect out of him at this point, because he's missed so much time? What's he bringing for the rest of the season? What might he be able to bring? Assuming we're going to make the playoffs. Thanks, guys.
Okay, John, thank you for the call. Jared, what's the latest on Abreu?
Rob Bradford tweeted something yesterday. Thought you should know, Wilyer Abreu just told me he felt good running the bases today. That was yesterday.
Okay, Cora said last week that they anticipated he could be back this week. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that they were targeting this series. So if I don't know if they would make that roster move on the off day. So hopefully we have an update tomorrow.
Okay. I mean, they need all the help they can get at this stage. And Jared, with regard to the pitching, I've seen that Tolle is scheduled to go. I think, is it tomorrow? I know he's scheduled to go one of the games of the series.
Yeah, they changed it. So I think is early now going tomorrow. Or no, early I think is going Wednesday. It was supposed to be Tolle on Wednesday, but now it's early against Springs on Tuesday. It's Giolito on Wednesday, and Bayo is going in the finale.
Okay, so they've skipped over Tolle.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't know how you should feel about that if you're a fan. The last couple with Tolle have not been great, and Early was definitely the better pitcher. So, at least in the series that was out in Oakland last week where they both pitched there, Early looked good in that series. And so, obviously, he'll get another crack at him here. But there's no way that any of us thought they were going to need these guys in, what are rapidly becoming do or die kind of games. That's the scenario now the Red Sox have sort of pushed themselves into, is these games are now kind of all must wins. Gabe is in South Carolina. Go ahead, Gabe.
Hey, guys. Hey, in my mind, the Red Sox are like a sailboat, and Roman Anthony is like that engine you can throw into the water, that gasoline-powered engine. And without that engine, you can throw up an extra sails, in Abreu coming back or our pitching being at the top of their game. But at the end of the day, I feel like we're just hoping for wind.
Okay, so Gabe, thanks for the call. And Jared, with all due respect, I don't like sort of silly analogies. What Roman Anthony is a force in the middle of the lineup. And the part that I think was probably most frustrating for the Red Sox, Jared, is he was starting to really become a run producer. I think I said to you earlier in the year, Jared, that Anthony's production and performance was impressive. You don't see rookies jump in, have the kind of plate discipline that he had. He had one of the best on-base percentages of baseball. As a result, the OPS was very good, et cetera, et cetera. But the home run power and run production wasn't really manifesting itself yet. And I didn't say that as a criticism at the time as much as just a statement of fact. Sometimes guys need a little while to sort of get used to it, and then the power starts to come. We were starting to see the power in the run production. We were getting the full Monty. We were getting the whole thing, and then he went down. So it left a gaping hole in the middle of their line. He was completely changing the lineup, Jared.
It was something where, how many times has a team had a 21-year-old kid that you looked at and said, well, our season depends on whether or not this kid can come up to the big leagues and be just as good as everyone thinks he's going to be. And then he actually comes up and meets every expectation. And to what you're talking about, Tony, the power, he was hitting for average. He was playing good defense. He was getting on base a ton, and he would have like an extra base hit here and there. He hits the ball hard, even for someone that wasn't hitting homers, he hits the ball hard. Then he started to hit for power. He started to hit homers, and that's when he got hurt. I'm not saying that there's a correlation. It's just saying, it sucks that the timing of it, because when Roman went, the Red Sox went. And it's basically what happened with Duran last year. When Duran went off, the Red Sox would win baseball games. When he went cold, they did not win baseball games. And there really was no cold stretch with Roman. It was just a matter of he's here, or it's a matter of he wasn't here. The Red Sox were cold. He was here. They were red hot, and now he's not here, and they're 2 games under 500.
Yeah, the timing could not have been worse from their standpoint. Even if it had come a couple of weeks later, which would have been bad, they'd probably be farther up and they'd had a bigger cushion. They might not have the chance of getting them back for the playoffs, which still exists if they can somehow get their act together. Right. What was I just going to say? There was one. Oh, the only other thing I'm going to ask you before we go is, you personally look back on the trade deadline any differently and any more critically as far as what the Red Sox did or did not do to fortify their lineup?
The lineup, I still would have gotten a right-handed reliever. I said that after it happened. I maintained that. They needed a righty reliever. They didn't get one. I think that Dustin May was redundant, and because you already had Walker Buehler, now you have neither. So I'm looking at the rotation saying, you didn't get any help there. You basically just got Steven Matz, and that's not going to cut it. But I guess, from asking around about the lineup stuff, I think Nathaniel Lowe has been pretty good since he's been here. Mm-hmm. Some of the asking prices for first baseman, it just wasn't justifiable. Like, what were you going to do? Like, what was the move that they didn't make to I guess fortify the lineup? I don't know. Like, I don't think that was something that they could have done with the pieces that they were looking to move.
Well, and as you pointed out, I'm not sure they would have been able to do a hell of a lot better than what Lowe has given them. I mean, he's given them some big hits, obviously, along the way, and so it would have been hard to do better than that, I think. Anyway, all right, Jared, well, you get out of work early this week. Only Monday for you. So I guess by the time we see you again next week, it could all be over, Jared. Who the hell knows?
Oh, Tony, clean it up. We're not talking like that over here.
Well, no, I generally try to think the worst, Jared. I find it's the safest way to go through life. Plan for the worst, and you won't be disappointed. So
or just live in a world of delusion like me, and you'll never get upset.
Well, no, actually, no, it can let you down if you delude yourself.
Yeah.
In any case, Jared, as always, thank you.
Thank you, Tony. We'll see you next week.
All right, we'll catch you later. Jared Carrabis, we're going to get off the air a little early here, so Ryan Garvin will have your headlines at the top of the hour. Joe Murray has you for the balance of the night. We'll catch you again tomorrow in the Baseball Hour.
You're listening.